today is the last 2 days of Ramadan, and it's the first time I've always wanted to do Ramadan. And this year I'm just doing the last 2 days. I just discovered that there was the last 2 days, and there's the sunset. What is Ramadan about? Ramadan is about, I believe, and I haven't read up, but this is what I believe. It's about taking time to recognize your frailties. And by recognizing the frailties in yourself, you can see them out in others. Because without that insight, without that connection, there's really nothing, is there? こんばんは。これは英語の先生でしょ？僕の、あなたは本当英語の先生ね？いや、違いますよ。違う？うん。なんか近いけど違う。ああ、これお母さん先生、これあなたは英語の先生。Do you speak English? No. No. 塾校ね、塾校 private school. Okay. So 英語読む大丈夫ね？英語読む？はい。英語書いて大丈夫？A little ね。英語喋るない。あまりね。はい。He's my neighbor. My wife said he was an English teacher. He was. I didn't think he was. It was like, this guy doesn't speak any English. But anyway, so I'm here just waiting for the sun to go down so I can eat. And well, my stomach is like it's funny because your hunger is kind of like that of a 4-year-old child, or like Tommy or Mike. You want. I want something, right? And that 4-year-old, that 3-year-old child is always with us, but we manifest it in different ways, right? And whether it's in our relationships or whether it's in our work or friendships or anything else. And my problem is, my biggest problem is I know I have the worst time at I have to pushing. My force. I'm very forceful, and actually I made a talk on here, but talking about that. So I would like to be less forceful and use my power more, just by understanding and listening. Listen, take a breath, use silence. They say less is more. And I could definitely learn from that. Less is more. It's kind of easy for my ego to get all wrapped up and say, hey, wow, we got, some validation here from this VC guy, Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith, well, I believe there's actually a ton of Mr. Smiths in Silicon Valley, but it's kind of like being caught in it's kind of like an addiction, right? You have that, you are what you do. So if you are in that game, right, playing that game, and this is the game, and it's about a good old boy network, like everything, and it's all about, it's all about keeping that game going. And in a way, it's a big con, because they've conned all these groups, whether it's the hackathons or the startup weekend groups, or all these groups that mean to be good. These guys are really trying to do good, but they're in a way duped into, into the whole. And really, it's Jimmy Wells is kind of a good thinking. So. He's a good example, because he was an outsider, but now he's been accepted as an insider. And you could look at that list on Angel List, right? If you go to Angel Co, and it's there. So it's just funny that this email. It comes with also with Ramadan, right? So I'm fasting. Yeah, It's probably the most spiritual I've been this year. Yeah, it has been the most spiritual. It's been, and So it's interesting. You know, everything happens for a reason, I believe, right? I don't think things are predestined, but I believe that you do create your luck. You create your opportunities. Like if I just sat at home and just kind of lamented about the situation at the Silicon Valley, right? And see, what's great is we have gone far enough now that we can actually now run our program and test it. And, you know, and that to me what's more important is we can actually run and test our program. And we can help people. To me that's the most important. Because ultimately I believe that we can flatten, you know, the startup. Just like the world is flat, it's just one of those things. And it's funny because now I have, you know, validation. The anger is gone. I mean, this anger that I've had, this frustration that I've had, and this kind of ties in with Ramadan, doesn't it? Because ultimately, here's that hunger, right? And all of a sudden, someone out of the kindness of their heart, Mr. Smith, you know, offers me a plate of food and says, "You don't need to be hungry. This is the way it is, right? You know, I've known this, and you know, you're not a crazy guy, right? First they ignore you, or you know, then they fight with you, and that kind of is happening. I mean, first they ignore you. I spent a year trying to get the attention of Global Entrepreneur Week. Trying to get the attention of Founder Space and the Lean Startup guys, the Eric Reese's, Dave McClure, nothing, just ignored me. And then, you know, really, I would say starting in April, you know, I started getting, you know, they started to fight you. And I would see, I connect the fight to actually having my LinkedIn account suspended, even though I try to connect with, you know, with the CEO, which is part of that. I mean, look who's at the top of Angel Gate Co. Right? The CEO of friggin' LinkedIn. It's one of the good old boys. So it's funny that, and the funny thing too is that when I did that, I had no idea that Angel List was already being called an Angel Gate. Actually, back in January and March of this year, where people quit and stuff like that because they were just calling it kind of insider's ring. And I didn't know that when I actually named it. Here's the sunset, setting sun. You know, this world has such great possibility, and the end of the Mayan calendar, which is, you know, some say it's 26,000 years, others say it's 14,000 years. It's between 14 and 26,000 years. That end of, to me, the Mayan calendar represents the age of monarchy, and I see that the corporation as an extension of that age. It's kind of like the modern. It's kind of like you had the. If you think about it, you had the kings and the queens. They gave way to the nobles. The nobles gave way to what? To the businesses, right? And the businesses became, the businesses became MIF and the IMF and international. They become these powerhouses, these world banks and stuff like that, right? Closed, good old boy networks. And these kings. And now, like the VCs and stuff are trying to become kings. And this huge, massive entrepreneur drive. It's become this massive cesspool of everyone just willing to climb on each other and do whatever to launch. And it's controlled by Silicon Valley. There it goes. And a world where we can not have to worry about who you are to launch an idea, and for having a world where anyone can participate and be part of a corporation, no matter who you are, right? And it's kind of like the American dream, like the guy who was the CEO of Coke started off as a janitor. I mean, how many janitors today actually can make it and become a CEO? None. We've lost that, right? We have all these gates and everything else, but why couldn't that janitor who had that great idea become that next Bill Gates? And that's my dream, right? That's my dream, is why can't some guy, it doesn't matter who you are, but brings a great idea to Found Ups, and we help them launch it, and as long as they've got the passion, the drive, the determination, those are the three most important things, right? Passion, drive, determination. And we provide them the framework and the system and the tools and everything for them. There's no reason why they wouldn't succeed, or they couldn't succeed. And all of a sudden we have a world where 30% of ideas, 99% of ideas fail, 70% or even 50% or 60% of ideas succeed. Because I think ideas are important, so does Edison and everyone else. I mean, everyone says ideas are important except for Silicon Valley startup professionals, right? And all right, well, let's go find my sons. The sun is set. Time for some food.